guys, it's Morgan, and today I'm going to be talking about differences between the book and the movie Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Now, if you haven't read the book or seen the movie, this video will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching the video now, go read the book and see the movie, read all of the Harry Potter books and see all of the Harry Potter movies while you're at it, and then come back. Or if you don't care about being spoiled, keep watching. So here are differences between the book and the movie Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. In the book, when Frank Bryce goes into the Riddle House, he overhears Voldemort and Wormtail talking about their plan to murder Harry. But in the movie, Barty Crouch Jr. is with Voldemort and Wormtail, which was a creative change because it introduced Barty Crouch Jr. into the story earlier than the book did. In the book, the Weasleys travel by Floo powder to pick Harry up from the Dursleys, but the Dursleys' fireplace is boarded up. But in the movie, when Harry wakes up from his nightmare, he's already at the Weasleys' house, and the Dursleys aren't in the movie. I do wish the fireplace scene was in the movie, because I think it would have been really funny. In the book, Harry meets Ron's oldest brothers, Bill and Charlie, but in the movie, he doesn't meet them at all. He does meet Bill in Deathly Hallows Part 1, but he doesn't meet Charlie in any of the movies. And I always thought that was weird. I mean, he could have at least been in one scene in one of the movies. A character that was in the book but isn't in the movie is Ludo Bagman. So in the movie, Fudge does the commentary for the World Cup, and Barty Crouch Sr. is the only judge at the Triwizard Tournament that's not the head of a school. Also, since Ludo Bagman wasn't in the movie, the side story of the Weasley twins trying to get their money back that they had bet is not included. Another character that was in the book but wasn't in the movie is the house elf Winky, and it would have been nice if she was in the movie, because then we would have seen that she was the one that took care of Barty Crouch Jr. after his father broke him out of Azkaban. In the book, when the Death Eaters attack the campsite, everyone's sleeping and Mr. Weasley has to wake them up so they can run. But in the movie, everyone's celebrating after the game when the Death Eaters attack, which I thought made more sense. In the book, it's revealed that Harry's wand that went missing is the wand that was used to cast the Dark Mark. But in the movie, it wasn't Harry's wand. Also in the book, Harry, Ron, and Hermione sense someone in the woods, but they're not sure who it is. But in the movie, the audience can see that it's Barty Crouch Jr. that cast the Dark Mark. So the audience knows who did it, but the characters don't. In the book, Colin Creevey's brother Dennis is starting Hogwarts, but neither Colin or Dennis are in the movie. Which makes sense because they don't do anything that affects the plot, but it still would have been nice to see them. In the book, Hermione creates a group to help the house elves called SPEW, but that doesn't happen in the movie. And I actually remember reading that Emma Watson had said, this was before filming started, she said that she was excited to film those scenes, but then it didn't happen, which was too bad. In the book, the students from Beauxbatons and Durmstrang arrive in the middle of the year, but in the movie they arrive in the beginning of the year, which makes sense because they most likely wanted to get to the Triwizard Tournament quickly. In the movie, it's shown that Durmstrang is an all-boys school and Beauxbatons is an all-girls school, but in the book there are boys and girls in both schools. I'm not really sure why they changed it for the movie, but it still worked well. In the book, Dumbledore mentions the age line that he drew around the Goblet of Fire to prevent underage students from entering. But in the movie, Hermione tells Fred and George about the age line before they try to enter. Also, in the book, Fred, George, and their friendly Jordan all want to try and enter the tournament. But in the movie, only Fred and George try and enter, which makes sense because Fred and George's friendship with Lee Jordan isn't really shown in the movies. At least as far as I can remember, it's not. A difference that I think every Harry Potter fan has noticed is when Dumbledore asks Harry if he put his name in the Goblet of Fire. In the book, he asks him calmly, but in the movie, not so much. But it is always fun to watch Harry Potter fans reenact that scene from the movie. And I thought Michael Gambon was great as Dumbledore, but at the same time, I can't help but wonder how Richard Harris would have done it if he hadn't died. In the book, Ollivander checks and tests the champions' wands, but in the movie, that doesn't happen. And I think originally it was going to happen, but then it didn't, and I'm not really sure why. In the book, Harry asks Sirius about dragons when he's talking to him in the fireplace. But in the movie, he doesn't ask Sirius about dragons, which makes sense because in the movie, Harry doesn't find out about dragons until after he talks to Sirius. In the movie, Rita Skeeter takes a picture of Harry and Hermione hugging before the first task to try and suggest a romance between them. But that doesn't happen in the book. A romance is suggested in the book by Colin Creevey, but I don't really blame Colin for that because Rita Skeeter would write anything even if it wasn't true. In the book, Harry uses his skill of flying to get the golden egg, and in the movie, he also uses his skill of flying. But the dragon also chases him all around the arena in the movie, which made it a more anxious scene. In the book, Harry, Ron, and Hermione visit the house elves in the kitchen, but that doesn't happen in the movie. Which makes sense because Hermione's SPEW isn't in the movie, so they would have had no reason to go into the kitchen. In the book, Percy replaces Barty Crouch Sr. during the Yule Ball because he says Mr. Crouch isn't feeling well. But that doesn't happen in the movie, which makes sense because Percy isn't in the movie, so Mr. Crouch is still at Hogwarts during the Yule Ball. In the book, Harry and Ron overhear Hagrid telling Madame Maxime that he's half giant, and they see Kakarot showing Snape his dark mark. And those things do happen in the movie, but not the same way they happen in the book. We do see Hagrid telling Madame Maxime that he's half giant, or at least the beginning of that conversation, but Harry and Ron don't hear it. And we see Kakarot showing Snape his dark mark, but it's not during the Yule Ball like it is in the book. And Harry and Ron aren't watching, but in the movie, Harry does see it. So this difference isn't really a difference, just little details are different. Since in the movie, Barty Crouch Sr. stays at Hogwarts during the Triwizard Tournament, at least until he's killed, Harry doesn't see the name Barty Crouch on the Marauders map, and he doesn't give the map to Moody and then get it back when it's revealed that Moody is secretly Barty Crouch Jr. And I think if that scene was in the movie, it would have showed people who haven't read the book but were watching the movie why Moody wanted the Marauders map, because he was secretly Barty Crouch Jr. In the book, Dobby gives Harry the gillyweed so he can breathe underwater during the second task. But in the movie, Neville gives Harry the gillyweed because he read about it in a book that Moody gave him. And this difference does make sense because, unfortunately, Dobby isn't in the movie. In the book, Harry learns about Barty Crouch Jr. from Sirius, but in the movie, he learns about him because of the memory in Dumbledore's pensive. Which makes sense because besides the scene of Harry talking to Sirius in the fireplace, Sirius isn't in any other part of the movie, and so Harry, Ron, and Hermione don't meet Sirius at Hogsmeade like they do in the book. In the book, Harry and Crumb see Barty Crouch Sr. acting strangely, and when Harry comes back with Dumbledore, Mr. Crouch is gone, and Crumb is knocked out. And when Crumb wakes up, he tells them that Mr. Crouch knocked him out. But we find out later that Barty Crouch Jr. knocked Crumb out and then killed his father. This doesn't happen in the movie, but Harry does find Mr. Crouch's dead body in the woods and then goes to Dumbledore. So it's completely different situations, but the same end result is there. Barty Crouch Sr. is killed. In the book, in the memory in the pensieve, Barty Crouch Jr. tries to tell his father that he was not involved with the Death Eaters torturing Frank and Alice Longbottom into insanity. But in the movie, he doesn't deny being a Death Eater. Also in the book, Dumbledore tells Harry that the reason Harry is dreaming about Voldemort is because of a scar. But in the movie, he tells Harry to cast the dreams away. Which makes sense because he wouldn't want Harry to worry about the dreams. In the book, Harry finds out from Dumbledore that Neville's parents were tortured into insanity by Death Eaters. But he doesn't find that out in this movie. Neville tells him in the Order of the Phoenix movie, which I think really made more sense because when you think about it, it is Neville's story to tell. In the book, there are different creatures that the champions have to pass in the maze. But in the movie, the creatures aren't in the maze, and the maze itself is the obstacle. I do wonder why they didn't put the creatures in the maze in the movie, but it still worked well. In the book, Wormtail ties Harry to the gravestone of Tom Riddle Sr. and gags him. But in the movie, Harry's held by the scythe of a statue and isn't gagged. And while both things are horrible, if I had to choose, I like the way it happened in the movie better. At least he wasn't gagged. In the book, Voldemort explains to Harry and the Death Eaters what happened to him when Harry defeated him as a baby and how he returned. But a lot of that isn't in the movie, which makes sense because they probably cut it for time. In the book, when Cedric Diggory, Frank Bryce, Bertha Jorkins, Lily Potter, and James Potter appear, they all talk. But in the movie, Frank doesn't, and Bertha is not in the movie, which makes sense because the whole side story in the book of Bertha missing is not included in the movie. In the book, when it's revealed that Barty Crouch Jr. was pretending to be Moody, he's questioned by Dumbledore. But in the movie, he's not questioned by Dumbledore. And also in the book, it's said that he got the Dementor's kiss. But in the movie, it's not said. So I guess you can decide for yourself if Barty Crouch Jr. got the Dementor's kiss or got sent back to Azkaban. In the book, when Dumbledore tells Fudge that Voldemort is back, Fudge doesn't believe him. But that doesn't happen in the movie. However, in the Order of the Phoenix movie, Fudge doesn't believe that Voldemort's back, so he obviously has been told that he's back, but I guess that just happened off-screen. In the book, Harry gives his Triwizard Tournament winnings to Fred and George so they can open their joke shop. But that doesn't happen in the movie. And since it doesn't happen in the movie, it makes me wonder how Fred and George got the money to open their joke shop in the movie Half-Blood Prince. In the book, it's revealed that the reason Rita Skeeter found out about what was going on at Hogwarts without anybody seeing her is because she's an unregistered animagus and can turn into a beetle. But that's not said in the movie. So it's also not said that Draco Malfoy knew about it and he was helping her. And I wish it was in the movie, because it's a pretty big part of the book. And Rita Skeeter's role was so much smaller in the movie than it was in the book. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments if there's something that happened in the book Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire that didn't happen in the movie, but that you wish it did. And also, if you want to see any of my future videos and you're not subscribed already, then hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!